Farm Bill 2018, what's the big deal anyway, and how can it help our local farmers and the economy? First of all, let's look at the basics. The Farm Bill is a fairly comprehensive multi-year piece of legislation that governs a substantial array of federal farm, food, fiber, forestry, and rural policies and programs under the joint jurisdiction of the House Committee on Agricultural and the Senate Committees on Agricultural, Nutrition, and Forestry. Now, there is a path to a new farm bill. First of all, each agricultural committee drafts, amends, and votes on its own version of the bill. Each full chamber, the floor, debates, amends, and votes on the bills from its respective committee. Then the leaders from the House and the Senate, including committee chairs, form a conference committee to combine the bills. Then the full chamber, known as the floor, votes on the combined final bill. And the final bill is sent to the White House for the president's signature, bringing it into law. So from the 1930s, when farm bills began, through the 1960s, farm bills were taken up by Congress periodically, but not on a set schedule. But in the 1970s and 80s, the farm bills occurred on a routine 4-year cycle. But since the 1990s, the farm bills have remained on a set schedule, but due to a variety of delays, they've been completed roughly on a 6-year basis, usually a year late, and hence requiring a short-term or year-long extensions. And if you think of the farm bill as a long freight train, it would have two powerful engines. Since the 1930s, the farm bills have focused on farm commodity programs support for the staple, the non-perishable, and generally storable commodities like corn, soybean, other feed grains, wheat, rice, peanuts, dry peas, lentils, beans, oilseeds, sugar, cotton, and dairy. But this constitutes engine number one. For the most recent two farm bills, and likely to continue in the future, engine number one commodity programs have been joined by federal crop insurance policy subsidies, a topic that is usually treated separately from the Farm Bill. And from the beginning, but growing in importance the past 5 decades, the Farm Bill has also been the controlling legislation for a variety of federal nutritional programs, most importantly the food stamp program, today known as the Supplementation Nutrition Assistance Program, abbreviated by just SNAP. Nutritional programs are thus engine number two. The politically interplay between these two engines has long been considered the key to a regular passage of the modern-day Farm Bill. And the Farm Bill has also exploded in the breadth of its coverage, especially during the past 3 decades. For instance, today, the conservative title might be considered a third engine of the Farm Bill due to the size of its Farm Bill funding total, though its political weight is not nearly as strong as the first two primary engines. And beyond conservation, farm bills now routinely cover credit, renewable energy, rural development, horticultural, agricultural research, forestry, and much more. These are the freight cars, and yes, there is a caboose known as the miscellaneous title. That is a catch-all for whatever does not fit elsewhere, with topic areas that frequently change from Farm Bill to Farm Bill. Although the agricultural committees can and sometimes do deal with specific subjects in separate freestanding legislation, rural development, Agricultural Credit Act, the Agricultural Research Act, and Crop Insurance Act, etc. So the Farm Bill provides 3 advantages. Number one, a predictable opportunity for a more comprehensive treatment of food and agricultural issues. Number two, plenty of log rolling and vote trading opportunities. Number three, and a much desired reduced committee workload in the intervening years between the new farm bills being introduced. And the Farm Bill is authorizing legislation. It means it establishes policies and creates programs, most of which must then seek funding through annual appropriation legislation in order to be implemented. There are 12 annual appropriations, government spending bills each year, one of which is agricultural appropriations. That bill contains funding for most USDA programs other than the U.S. Forest Department and for all Food and Drug Administration programs. The other key thing to remember about the scope of the Farm Bill is that it pertains to subject matter and underlying laws that are within the common jurisdiction of the 2 agricultural committees. All authorization legislation subject matter is assigned to congressional committee and authorizing committees, and as a general rule, must stay away from issues not in their jurisdiction. We know that the scope of the Farm Bill includes farm commodity, crop insurance, conservation, credit issues, as well as anti-hunger, nutrition, rural economic development, private forestry programs, international food aid, and agricultural trade programs, and more. The $867 billion Farm Bill has passed, and crop insurance was always at the top. So the passage of the 2019 Farm Bill is good news because it provides a strong safety net for farmers and ranchers who need the dependability and the certainty that the new legislation affords. So why is the Farm Bill important? Subsidies, crop insurance, and other programs included in the Farm Bill that ensures farmers can keep farming even in the lean years. Also ensuring an adequate food supply and research programming funded by the Farm Bill. The U.S. Farm Bill makes CBD production legal and cheaper. Now, the 2018 Farm Bill that overwhelmingly passed in the U.S. Senate has now become law. And under the new laws, hemp will be managed by Department of Agriculture as a crop rather than just the Justice Department as an illegal substance. In fact, it's all in the news.
Well, the latest Farm Bill legalized industrial hemp as a crop plant, sparking interest for a number of producers looking to capitalize on the new commodity. Joining us now for an update is American Farm Bureau economist Michael Nepveux. Thanks for joining us, Michael. This is a hot topic. Hemp has received quite a bit of attention recently. Can you tell us a little bit about the hemp laws that currently stand in the U.S.?
Sure. So there still is a lot of confusion out there concerning hemp's relationship with marijuana. So it is very important to clarify that hemp is not marijuana, although it does come from a similar species of plant. So as a result of that relationship, historically hemp had been classified as a Scheduled I substance under the Controlled Substance Act. But that changed with the 2014 Farm Bill, which allowed the production of hemp in certain circumstances by universities and state departments of ag for research purposes. The most recent 2018 Farm Bill went a step further and actually more broadly legalized hemp production in the U.S. and took it off that Schedule I list.
It's interesting because a lot of states that you wouldn't traditionally think about would be wanting to grow hemp, like Kentucky, for example, they were on board right away. When it comes to the Farm Bill, how does it pertain to hemp?
So, like I said, the most recent Farm Bill legalized hemp production. It also included an actual definition of what we consider industrial hemp to be. And as part of that definition, it included a 0.3% threshold for THC. Now, THC is the ingredient that gives marijuana its psychoactive properties. So any hemp that goes above that 0.3% is considered illegal and not hemp. As also in the Farm Bill was listing hemp as a covered commodity under crop insurance.
Okay, so hemp is now a covered commodity under crop insurance. But, you know, it's interesting because you've got to deal with state laws as well as federal laws. How big would you say the hemp market is in the U.S. right now?
So it's actually bigger than many people would think. Hemp has been sold in the U.S. for some time now. So for 2017, that market was estimated to be about $820 million. Most of this is coming from imports, as the U.S. hemp market is not really that big production-wise, but that's growing substantially. So in 2016, it was just under 10,000 acres. That has already grown to almost 80,000 acres in 2018.
Wow, and a lot of farmers in a lot of different states are hoping that they too will be able to grow hemp. AFBF economist Michael Nepveux, always appreciate hearing from you. Thanks for joining us from your Washington headquarters.
You know, it's amazing. Everywhere you go, you hear and you see in the news. But the 2018 Farm Bill abolishes the inconsistent treatment by removing the industrial hemp from the definition of marijuana in the CSA. In addition, THC contained in industrial hemp will be removed from the purview of the CSA, making clear that industrial hemp plants can be grown domestically as well as imported. And this amendment to the CSA decriminalizes the production and use of hemp and its derived products that match the definition of industrial hemp, such as seed oil, CBD oil, fibers, and paper. Industrial hemp will not be entirely unregulated. However, the 2018 Farm Bill moves regulatory authority from the CSA and the DEA to an Agricultural Marketing Act of 1946 AMA and the Department of Agriculture. The AMA authorizes and directs the Secretary of Agriculture to carry out programs to assist the production, transportation, and marketing of the crops. Now that the Hemp Farming Act of 2018 is law, hemp will be treated the same as any other a legal crop by the Department of Agriculture with a few caveats based on its previous status as a controlled substance and the potential for unscrupulous growers to cultivate strains with high THC. So the part of the amendment, the state and tribal governments can create their own regulatory framework for industrial hemp production, and those plants must include a practice to record and describe land on which hemp is grown, a procedure for testing THC concentration, a procedure for non-compliant production disposal, and a procedure for enforcing regulations. The plan may include anything that does not conflict with federal regulations. So as we close this out, when you think about the insurance, hemp crops now qualify for federal crop insurance, a voluntary insurance program that guarantees partial payment for crops lost to catastrophic events. The Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. and 1502 ETSEQ is amended to include hemp in the covered crops. In addition, the viability and marketability requirement for crop insurance, both for production and for research, may be waived as the discretion of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. This is a win for hemp cultivators because crop insurance was non-existent for industrial hemp farmers operating under the 2014 Farm Bill. Access to the federal crop insurance will provide more certainty for those cultivators in contracting for the sale of their harvest, even if such harvests are destroyed due to catastrophic events such as wildfires.